Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate, or I go by Always More Sims here on YouTube, and I am doing a new speed build. This house is called Colonial Gray. I don't know where my voice is going all of a sudden. Ooh, okay. So, I'm not happy with this game right now. This is the third house I have tried to build. And things keep happening, and there's no download for this house. Because things happen. Basically, the first house, so with the first house, I could not, it wouldn't let me like save for whatever reason. Like, I'd go out to Edit Town and it would just sit and it would spin and spin and spin and spin because it said that it was loading, but there was no loading being done because it just sat there and it just wouldn't stop spinning. So that happened, and then I tried building the house again and the game crashed. And so then I'm like, screw this house, we're gonna do a different house. So I got a new house all planned out, and I'm like, okay, I like this. And the game starts crashing on me again. But this time it all keeps crashing when I'm super close to being done. So I'm like, screw this house, we're going to try a different one. And so that's this house. And it does crash a little ways after I put in the staircase. The game crashes, and then you can kind of tell if you're looking hard enough. But oh my gosh, I don't know where my voice is going all of a sudden. I keep saying that, I'm sorry. See, I've already actually recorded this speed build, this voiceover multiple times as well. So I'm getting kind of tired of repeating all of this. But I had gone out to Edit Town and it let me save. And I'm like, okay, seems to be good. Wasn't getting any crashing problems. Then I start, building and furnishing and all of that stuff for the game, for like when I go to Edit Town, so I can export it and stuff. Nothing happens. It sits there and it spins, and I spent maybe four and a half hours on this house. And yes, I know the roof on this house is horrific. It is so bad. But it looks okay in the front. I mean, that's all that matters, right? Maybe not. But yeah, I got done doing everything and went out to Edit Town to save, and it wouldn't stop loading, and my game crashed. So I lost almost everything. All that stuff I'd spent so long working on was gone. All the house furnishings, all the windows, the doors, painting, painting the walls, all of it was gone. So that was great. Really frustrating. So gotta love it. Now a little bit about the house. I might end up going back and trying to refurnish it so there's a download link, because I really liked how this house turned out, and I would love to use it myself for something at some point. So this house has 5 bedrooms, not counting the nursery, an office, a game room, and 4 bathrooms. So it's got quite a bit of room in here. Originally, what is the game room was supposed to be the dining room. but the area that was the kitchen, and actually still is the kitchen, was just too big. So I moved the dining area in to be with the kitchen, and then so now I had this huge empty room. No, oh no, the game room was supposed to be in the living room, and the master bedroom was supposed to be the dining room. But the space that I had still, like, to try and fill was just too much. So that didn't end up happening. I keep saying I'm sorry about that. Let's see. So, and now I will go over the packs I used. I used Pets, Generations, Ambitions, University Life, Seasons, CC, Late Night, Master Suite, High and Left. I don't think I used a lot of CC. I know I used some. I think most of it was like little decorations and stuff. I'm not gonna say again. So what do I do? Go ahead and say it. I used a lot of the stuff that I have. I didn't use Island Paradise, and I didn't use Showtime. I think I used everything else though. So, go me. Oh, I used Supernatural too. I forgot to list that. Just seeing those windows. Hey, I use Supernatural. So now we're actually going to get to what I've been saving to talk about in a speed build. I've been saving this topic for about 2 months now, and in like my Let's Plays, whenever I mention something, involving this, I just kind of allude to it, very vague with it. Just like, wait for that next Let's Play, and not Let's Play, next speed build, and then I'll talk about it then. Well, here's that next speed build, and I honestly don't really want to talk about it, but I do want to kind of explain some stuff. To make this, if you want the short version, I have depression. If you want the long version, well, here's that. So, I started developing depression in about 6th grade. And sixth grade was like just a really bad year for me. My friend, my childhood friend, I'd been friends with her since I was in like preschool. She dropped me for the popular kids, and then I was sitting all by myself at lunch. I was all by myself in group projects, like where we got to choose our partners, because she wanted to hang with the popular kids. And what's ironic is now she's like one of my closest friends again. But I will get to that later. So, yeah, 6th grade was just a really hard year for me. I'm not very close with any of my extended family. Not close with my grandparents. I'm closer with my dad's grandparents, but my dad's parents. But at the time, like for a while, they didn't want to talk to us or anything. So that was during that time that they weren't really around. I've never been close with any of my aunts or uncles or my cousins. I haven't been close with any of my cousins in a long time. My dad's brother's son. That's confusing. Basically my cousin on my dad's side, he was like an awesome cousin when I was growing up, and then he decided to drop out of school, and now he does drugs and he drinks, and his life is kind of a mess, and because of that, I'm obviously not close with him anymore. I don't want to be very close with him if that's what he's spending his time doing. And like all my grandparents were focusing on when we did hear from them was, was my cousin. And then my grandpa died on my mom's side. So it was actually her stepdad, but my mom's biological dad was never really around when she was growing up. So her stepdad was more of a dad than her biological dad. Does that make any sense? It does to me, but I don't know if it does to you. I'm sorry if it doesn't. But basically, he passed away. Oh, we just jumped. Yeah. Okay, so really quick, we're going to talk about this real quick. Basically, what happened there is my game crashed, and as you saw, the floor plan upstairs was a little different. The whole house is actually one square bigger. Oh. But the house game crashed, had to kind of start over a little bit. Not too much, but I didn't remember how I had like the floor plan working upstairs, so I just ended up extending everything over. Making the house like one square bigger on the side, and I rearranged upstairs a little bit so everything fit better. So yeah, it's a little different than what you saw just a couple minutes ago, but it's not that different. It's just a little more spacious. Back to what I was saying. My grandpa had just died, and my grandma, of course, was like super upset about that. But see, my grandma, I've always felt like this, and my grandma favors my cousins. That even during that time, if my older cousin had like a dance recital or a choir concert, my grandma was dropping everything to go see that. If my younger cousin had a football game, my grandma was dropping everything to see that. A couple months after my grandpa died, my uncle had his first child. And see, my aunt had a couple miscarriages prior to this baby. And so she's super protective over him, which, I understand, but it's too much now that, like, she's overbearing because he so much as sniffles and she thinks that he's got, like, pneumonia or something like that. And it's rather annoying, but see, whenever he's sick, my grandma drops everything to go take care of him. But if my brother has a soccer game or a band concert, or if, I'm playing my guitar for something, she always has something come up. She's never able to make it. And so, see, I'm not close with that side of the family. So, 6th grade, like I keep saying, was a really hard year for me. Eventually move on to 7th, 8th grade. There was a girl that started hanging out with me, and, we got pretty close. And in 7th grade, I felt like my teachers were out to get me. That they were never happy with anything I did, constantly nitpicking on every little thing I did. And I felt like I couldn't make any of them happy, not to mention I was always majorly confused with things they were talking about because they wouldn't explain it well. 8th grade got a little better. And then I get to high school. And this friend that I had made during 7th, 8th grade basically drops me, but at the same time she doesn't. See, she got this group of friends that I didn't like, and personally, I don't think they're good people for her to be hanging out with. But I'm not in control of that, and she basically was choosing them over me. The only time she ever wanted to hang out with me was when she was upset with these kids, or they were, making fun of her for something, stupid stuff like that. That's the only time she ever wanted anything to do with me, was when she was bored or she was upset with them. Like, she'd literally text me, "I'm bored, so I thought I'd text you." And I always wanted to say, well, glad to know that that's all I seem to be good for, is helping you not be bored. So we grew kind of distant. She obviously doesn't. She still doesn't think anything's wrong. I don't think. I rarely ever hear from her anymore. So I think she doesn't understand how upset and miserable I was, and the fact that she basically ignored me all the time. So that's great. And see, I always had a lot of homework. Not see, then we get to the next year, and see the following semester, we get back from summer break, and the friend group got even bigger. That my friend, her group of friends had gotten even bigger. They were huge. Okay, this group had gotten huge. They were taking a whole table at lunch, and I didn't like these kids. I didn't like hanging out with them. But I didn't know where else to sit. So I'd eat my lunch as fast as I could, and then I'd go to the art room, because the art room was the only place I felt comfortable. And the homework got 5 times worse. I typically got home from school about 2:30. I would be up working on homework anywhere from 11 to 3:30 in the morning, guaranteed. Rarely ever was I done with homework before 11 o'clock. So I was exhausted. And for those of you who don't know, I have insomnia. And so, yes, it's not like my body wasn't used to not getting to sleep by then, but I was still tired. And if I'm tired for too long, I get sick. And it's not just, it's a cold or something. No, I get full-blown sick. And, I'll catch the flu or a stomach virus or something like that. And it knocks me on my butt, because my immune system, from me being so tired, is practically non-existent and can't fight off anything. So I was exhausted all the time. Most of my homework was in biology. And my biology final, for my biology final before Christmas break, we had to study over 300 vocabulary words, which is crazy, for there only to have been 80 words on the final. We had to study all those words only for there to be 80 on the final, and that was crazy. I didn't understand what she was talking about. My grade was constantly suffering. Everyone in the class failed her test, but she always thought it was us, not her. Obviously, I would have thought that if almost everyone was failing your test, then there's something wrong with how you're teaching. But I guess not. So, you see, last year, at the end of the year, my parents brought up the possibility. Give me a second. Sorry, my brother came upstairs, and I was afraid that he was gonna knock on the door or something. So, my parents brought up the subject at the end of the school year last year, asking if I wanted to switch schools. And I really didn't want to, because you see, there were 2 teachers that I absolutely loved at my old school. Which by the sounds of that, you can obviously tell I did end up leaving. But, see, he was my religion teacher, because it was a Catholic school. But the thing is, you could talk to him about anything, and he would leave religion out of it if you wanted him to. He didn't have to bring up religion if you didn't want him to. See, he was so amazing. I miss him a lot. He's actually fighting in the army over in Kuwait right now, so I constantly think about him and hope that he's doing all good, that he's doing okay over there. I do miss him a lot. So, I'm gonna move on from him before I start crying. Then there's my art teacher, my old art teacher. I miss him a lot too. But see, I still hear from my art teacher because we almost have this like pen pal relationship where he will email me and we'll just talk, and it's really nice. But they were what was keeping me at that school, and I didn't want to leave. I am terrified of change. I hate it. I don't do well with drastic change. And that's what this was. And I was nervous. This school is like, so my old school had about 400 kids in it. It was a private school. The school I'm at now is a public school, and so obviously it's like 3 times bigger than my old school was. So it's a lot of kids, and it's a big building, and it's very different. But you see, I didn't do it. I didn't do it at the end of last year. I'm like, I can't. I won't. No. Maybe next year will be better. The following year was worse. This past semester was awful. Sorry. See, my brother is right outside my door. If my brother hears me talking, he's gonna knock on the door. So I don't mean to be going all quiet. Let's just say that the following year was not better. It was worse. I hated going to school. It was to the point that then go in your room. It was to the point that as I was getting ready in the morning before school, I was crying because I didn't want to go. I did not want to go to school. The teacher that replaced my old religion teacher, it was his beliefs or no beliefs, and so I came to hate religion class. I had that biology teacher. My favorite class was art, and that was my first class of the day, and then everything went downhill after there. That the classes just kept getting progressively worse, and progressive, I didn't like them. Throughout the day they got lower and lower on my favorite class list. And I got to the point that I wasn't really trying anymore. I was just going through the motions. Like I said, I was crying when I was getting ready in the morning, or when my dad was driving me to school, I would be crying, and 'cause I didn't want to go. I did not want to be there because I was absolutely miserable. And then I just kind of closed down on myself. So when I close down on myself, I go quiet. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want anyone to talk to me. If you talk to me, expect to have your head bit off, because I don't want to talk. And everyone kept, trying to talk to me. I'm like, no, I don't want to talk to you. I'm sorry, but I don't. So, just leave me alone. This friend of mine was acting like nothing was wrong, that everything was great in the world, and that, I was a good backup for her, and I didn't want that. So one night, my parents sat me down in the living room, and they're like, I think we should revisit this topic of changing schools. And I shut down, completely, didn't want anything to do with this. My mood crashed lower than it already was. I didn't want to talk about changing schools again. Yes, I was miserable where I was, but how I was thinking about it was, I'm just going to go and be even more miserable somewhere else, somewhere that I don't know what's going to, what happens, what the norm is. And I was more afraid of the unknown, that it would be even worse than what I was going through, and I wasn't thinking that this could be better than what I'm going through. That's not how I was thinking about it. So they were like, we see that you have gotten very depressed, and like it was the worst it'd been in a long time. And basically, my parents were afraid I was going to kill myself or I was going to self-harm myself. I would never kill myself or inflict self-harm. I don't see how that would solve anything, how that would help anything. But because of how depressed I was, my parents were still afraid that I was going to. So if that gives you an idea of how depressed I was, that my parents were afraid I was going to kill myself, then you can probably tell that it was pretty bad. So we started looking into switching schools again, and this time I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I'm switching schools. I can't be here anymore. I have to. I can't do this. Switched schools, and of course the only person I knew at my new school was this friend from 6th grade that had dropped me. But we had kind of made up for it, like the few times we met up over the summers, and over the years we'd talk every once in a while, or like we'd go out for lunch and, just kind of catch up. And now she's one of my closest friends again, and I'm hoping that she doesn't drop me again. That would hurt. But yeah, I never hear from my friend at my old school. When she found out about it, she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sad that you're leaving. But she hasn't done anything to actually show that she's sad. I've heard from her maybe once. I let her find out for herself that I was gone, because that's how much I thought she didn't care. And she really, she called me the first day back after winter break, because I switched between semesters. She's like, where are you? Everyone's saying that you switched schools. And I'm like, 'cause I did. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I haven't heard from her since. No, I've heard from her once, asking about class rings and if I was doing it. Like, if I was getting a class ring where I am. I'm like, I personally am not. I'm choosing not to, but we had the option. And so, yeah, see, that's just what's kind of been going on with me lately. Because of my depression, I just kind of closed off from everyone. And that's kind of developed into like a social anxiety almost, that I don't like participating in group activities. I don't like being with people I'm uncomfortable around. And it's resulted in basically a social anxiety. Now see, I play guitar, and I will play for this, it's this like little festival kind of thing we hold, and like down in this park, and I will play there all the time. Or I'll go play at like open mic nights, and I have no problem performing in front of groups of people. It's when I'm in those groups of people and they're being loud and obnoxious that I don't like. I can't do it. I cannot be in a crowd of people that are annoying and loud and obnoxious. I can't do it. And I'm terrified of becoming friends with someone and getting rejected. are getting dropped, so it's really hard for me to make friends. Yeah. So, I've been wanting to talk about that, kind of explain everything. So now, I keep bumping my mic, I'm sorry. If I bring that up in like a Let's Play or something, I can say, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch this speed build, a little bit, I wouldn't exactly call it self-promo, more like a speed build promo. That doesn't make sense, but you know what I'm trying to say. So, yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk about that. I'm not expecting, people to be sympathetic. I'm expecting people to be sympathy. I'm not expecting, a bunch of sympathy. I'm not expecting people to pity me or be sympathetic. I don't want any of that. That's not what I'm looking for, but I felt like I needed to talk about this, explain what's been going on with me, what I keep talking about and mentioning and then getting all vague with it, because I want to have the chance to sit down and tell you all of it, explain all of it, and not just bits and pieces so nothing makes sense. So, yes. I do like this house. We're going to talk about this for a little while. So that, I should have been talking about it as we went, but that master bedroom, I was so proud of myself for doing that. See, that was originally, like I said, supposed to be the dining room, but that was way too big. But doing the platform and then the half wall, really nice touch, I think. It helped fill up the space. Then there was the girly girl teen bedroom. The gray checkered pattern room with the red walls. That, I was kind of guessing that would be like a teenage boy getting ready to go off to college. That'd be his room. This room right here is, I wanted it to be for a girl and boy twins, but I feel like it's more boyish because of the blues and greens and teals. But I guess you can make this a girl twin bedroom. This could be girl and boy, boy and boy. I don't know, if I end up redoing this, putting it at the download, you guys will be able to choose for yourself. And then that other bedroom on the other side of the wall, that is like a child boy's bedroom. I don't know, I really like this house. I really like how I decorated it. I'm very proud of myself for this. I really liked this house, and I wish that my game was not being a butt like normal. My game's always a butt. It doesn't like me, obviously. Never likes me. I don't think it ever has. Oh, my dad's vacuuming. I can hear the vacuum running downstairs. My game's never liked me. Oh, but hey, expect a Sims 4 speed build sometime this month. I built a Sims 4 house for my friend. It's completely base game. I've already done the voiceover for that. Like I said, I've already done the the voiceover for this one like 2 or 3 times. So, and it just never turns out how I wanted to, so I keep redoing it. But I did not get screenshots of this house. I want to start doing screenshots, but since the game crashed, I couldn't do screenshots. But here in a second, we're going to have this right here. This is what my game was doing, but I'm going to end this here. So thank you guys. I'll see you guys all in my next video. Bye, guys.